Paramahansa Parivrajakaacharya Varyo Shrimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanaravindam Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Nityalila Pravishta Om Shtada Paramahansa Parivrajana Acharya Varya Ashtottara Shata Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Grandharaj Shri Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Ki Shri Shri Nectar of Devotion Evening Seminar Ki Shri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada Ki Yog Dharma Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Saved Bhakta Vrinda Ki Sai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol Hari Hari Bol Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimiram Hasyanam Shalakaya Chakshuramitam Yen Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanyamaram Vishtam Sthapitam Yen Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dada Visvadupagatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukapakapalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sahajatam Sahaganaram Brahmavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Karyana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Namostute Tattva Chanagaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vāṅ Kalpatarudyascha Kripāsindhuryeva Patitānām Bhāgavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. At the very onset of present day's discourse, I would like to initially offer my most respectfully prostrated obeisances and to the lotus feet of their divine lordships, Shri Shri Radha and Madan Gopala Dev, along with their eternal associates and companions, such as Shri Lalita Devi, Shri Vishakha Devi, Shri Rupa Manjari, etc. And along with them, I would also like to offer my most respectfully prostrated homages unto the lotus feet of their divine lordships, Shri Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Shri Shri Nityananda Prabhu, along with their perpetual divine entourage, such as Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, and all the successors of Shri Dham Vrindavan. Finally, I would like to pay my obeisances and due respects unto the lotus feet of His Divine Grace Abhayacharana and the Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada, who has, being an adept, very artistically propagated the doctrine of Krishna consciousness, imbued with pure devotional transcendental mellows throughout this world in this present modern era in most unique and fantastic unprecedented way. Conclusively, I would also like to submit my most respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of all the senior Vaishnava devotees of the Lord present herein, especially His Grace Swabhas Prabhu, who is very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And thereafter, I would now like to commence our proposed topic of discussion, especially the topic relating to the glorification of Srila Rupa Goswami and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, yesterday we intended to glorify Srila Rupa Goswami, but it turned out to be a very analytical description regarding the ontological position of Bhakti Maharaj. So today we will focus on knowing the author of the Bhakti Samrita, or the ocean of the nectarian bellows of devotional service. So, in order to first understand Srila Rupa Goswami, actually before understanding the nectar of devotion, we have to understand the real position and the glories of the author. But the glories of the author, who is Srila Rupa Goswami, the glorification of Srila Rupa Goswami Bhava depends upon the glorification of Sri Gaurasundar Mahaprabhu. Because Srila Rupa Goswami Bhava is one of the most prominent associates of Srimad Mahaprabhu Chaitanya Dev. That is why we first have to understand what contribution Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what unprecedented, matchless, never heard of, never seen of, any type of contribution, the type of gift Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given to this, to the mortal living beings living in this mundane world. So, as we were discussing yesterday, Sripad Vishwanath Chakravarti points out very clearly in his treatise known as Madhurya Kadamini regarding Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's contribution, and we will also follow Srila Rupa Goswami's own language, how Srila Rupa Goswami depicts Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's contribution, and then we will know how Srila Rupa Goswami not only glorifies Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's glories, but he also becomes part of this contribution that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come here to give. And how Srila Rupa Goswami is the foremost pillar of this task of contributing the devotional service, especially the devotional service related to the Braj Leela pastimes known as Radha Bhakti. So, first of all, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says regarding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's contribution, very unique contribution, that it is Mahaprabhu's kripa, his compassion, his beneficence, his mercy is just like shade of those monsoon clouds who are about to pour down, who are about to shower, or who are about to pour down great rainfall of water. So the chain of monsoon clouds which are about to downpour vast amount of rainwater which is filled within them, they are known as Kavani. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, his munificence, is not just like an ordinary chain of monsoon clouds pouring down rainwater or rainfall. No. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is Madhurya Kadamini. Madhurya Kadamini means it is sweet. It is a chain of clouds which is full of the sweet nectarian devotional mellows, especially the Unnata Ujjvala Ras, especially that particular type of devotional service which the Ragatmika associates of Lord Shri Krishna are performing in their respective reciprocation of Shri Krishna in the eternal pastimes of Vrindavan. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come here to give this particular type of Ragatmika Bhakti, and actually Ragatmika Bhakti which is following this Ragatmika Bhakti, and even within this Ragatmika Bhakti, he has come here to bring a very special type of devotional service, especially on the level of conjugal love, known as Kamanuga. And even within the Kamanuga category, as in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami has divided into 8 categories. Even within the Kamanuga category, Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has come here to give Unnata Ujjvala Ras. Unnata Ujjvala Ras has very specific meaning. We will deal with that later on. But for now, let us understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is exactly equivalent, is exactly compared to the chain of monsoon clouds which are filled with the sweet nectarian mellows of devotional water. And these sweet nectarian mellows of devotional water are poured down, are showered upon the devotees. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, Hare Dava Prema Bhakti Shasya Vitate Sanjeevani Swagama Rambhe Kamata Patutahadamani Vishwa Padallasini Duran Marushakino Pisarasi Bhavaya Bhuya Prabhu Shri Chaitanya Kripa Virankushamaha Madhuryatadam Vimi. So Vishnu says that Mahaprabhu's mercy and contribution, the first contribution that Mahaprabhu has made is Hridapatre Navadhakti Shasya Vitatehe Sanjeevani Swagama Brahme. That is the very beginning of its manifestation. Of whose manifestation? Of the manifestation of the sweet and most exalted autocratic mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Kripa Nirankushamaha. How is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy like? What is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy like? Chaitanya Kripa Nirankushamaha. It is completely autocratic in nature. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's compassion, his beneficence, is completely autocratic in nature. Nirankusha. Just like we have been having this word Ankusha. What is Ankusha? Ankusha is a goal used to control the bad element. So, a Nirankusha means one who is not controlled by any type of goal. That means one is completely independent. So, here Nirankusha means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Kripa, his mercy is completely independent, is completely autocratic and autonomous in nature. And it is the greatest mercy that can ever be experienced within this mortal world. Because the mercy that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come here to give is what no other incarnation has ever given. Shri Krishna is eligible to give the same type of mercy, but because he is Leela Purushottam, he is not Audarya Purushottam. For that reason, he cannot give. Even though he is eligible, he is eligible to give this mercy, and he is fully competent. He is fully competent to give this mercy. And what is this mercy? To bestow Krishna prema, or the unannoyed transcendental love for lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna of Vrindavan, without requiring on the part of the living entity the performance of sadhana bhakti. On the part of the living entity, without requiring the performance of sadhana bhakti, to make the living entity instantly transform into Kripa Siddha, into that perfect devotee in devotional life who has received Prema Bhakti instantly. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is. That is why Chaitanya Srila Krishna Goswami says that Jan Shri Angir Darshan Jai Kare Sri Krishna Prema Mahadhan Takshane Praptakar. That a person, what to speak of serving Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet, what to speak of associating with him with the sincere, deepened mood and desire of the heart, and what to speak of reciprocating with him physically or verbally, a person who just once got the opportunity to behold Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's all-attractive continental form and enchanting countenance from a quite distance, even that person immediately received the most valuable treasure, gem and gift and most unprecedented contribution of Krishna prema, which is rather in a normal case very difficult to attain, because prema is Sudurla. Srila Rupa Goswami himself says, in the very beginning of the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, where Srila Rupa Goswami defines the 6 qualities, the 6 attributes of Bhakti, according to 3 different stages. Bhakti, the pure devotional service, the most unadulterated and purest form of devotional service, is found to be appearing in 3 stages, in 3 different levels. So the first stage is known as sadhana bhakti. Then the higher to the sadhana bhakti stage is known as bhava bhakti, and the last stage is known as prema bhakti. So one of the symptoms of bhava bhakti, as they have been analyzed by Srila Rupa Goswami, is that bhava bhakti is sudurlabha. Kleshanti shubhava moksha laguta sudurlabha. Sambrahman Visheshama Shri Krishna Krishna. So, for sadhana bhakti level, the 2 attributes appear. Actually, Srila Rupa Goswami has not clarified this point with the original Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, but Srila Jiva Goswami clarifies this point within his Sanskrit commentary on Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, known as Guru Guru Sangamani Tika. Actually, historically speaking, Srila Rupa Goswami is the compiler, he is the writer of Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. But then the first commentator on Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu is Srila Jiva Goswami, who is the friend of Srila Rupa Goswami. And Srila Jiva Goswami is not only the first commentator on Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, but without him, Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, it will not be an exaggeration to declare that without the guidance, assistance, help and support of Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami would not have been able to complete his Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. Yes. That is why Srila Jiva Goswami had to be called again back from that place where he had gone to end his life, by the encouraged by Srila Rupa Goswami. And I think the audience is quite well aware of the story that once upon a time, one great scholar came to meet Srila Rupa Goswami and he found some fault within Srila Rupa Goswami's writing. And actually, at that time, Srila Rupa Goswami was writing Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. And in which place Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu has been written? Does anyone know? Certainly in Rajmandal, not in Kshetra Mandal, not in Gauda Mandal, not in Jagannath-puri and not in Navadvipa. It has certainly been compiled in the Vrindavan and in the 84 Krosh Brajmandal area, but exactly in which place of the Brajmandal? So, Srila Goswami, in the very end of his Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, he writes according to the very astrological date. Because at that time, in India, no one had heard of the Western calculation of days and years, etc. So, when this book was written 5 centuries back in India, at that time the Vedic astrological calculation or the Vedic astrological method was ongoing. Srila Rupa Goswami has mentioned that, he has also mentioned the specific date, the specific month, and then he has mentioned the place. So, this Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu was started, he mentioned that it was commenced, it was started in Gokul Mahavan and it also ended in Gokul Mahavan, which is one of the 12 forests of Brajmandal. Vrindavan is one forest, Gokul Mahavan is another forest, Mandil, Kumudvan, Kanyavan, etc. So, one of the 12 most principal forests of Brajmandal is Gokul Mahavan. That's the place where Shri Krishna showed his universal form within his mouth to Mother Yashoda on the banks of Yamuna, known as Brahmana Ghat. So, nearby Brahmana Ghat, we have Bhajan Kuti of Srila Rupa Goswami, where he actually compiled Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu. And Sri Vallabhacharya, also known as Sri Vallabhacharya, who was the Acharya of the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya at that time, he came once to meet Srila Rupa Goswami. So at that time, Srila Rupa Goswami was writing Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, sitting in his hermitage And in those times, actually the original manuscript of ISKCON is now available in the Vrindavan Research Institute, which is close to the Krishna ISKCON temple. So at that time, our Goswami Pads, 5 centuries back, they were writing on a special type of leaves known as Bhojpatra or Darpatra. On special type of palm leaves they were writing, using the ink as an instrument. So when Goswami was writing, his letters were just like pearls strung together. And that is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had praised Rupa Goswami's writing in the Antyalila of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because Rupa Goswami's writings are the only writings in the whole Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya which have been directly seen by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that has been directly praised by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the other writings of all the other acharyas, even Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and all the other writings, even of Rupa Goswami, have not been directly seen by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his Pragat Leela. Only two writings of Rupa Goswami. The first is Shri Vilatta Madhav Natakam, and the second is Shri Lalit Madhav Natakam. These two dramas, in by Shri Rupa Goswami, they are the only two books which have been directly seen by, which have been completely heard about, and which have been praised by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his manifest Pragat Leela. So, unfortunately, Bhakti Sadhana Sindhu was not directly seen by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when it was being compiled in Gokul Mahaprabhu, at that time, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu praised Rupa Goswami's writing when he saw Lalit Madhav and Virat Madhav. He told Swarup Damodar and Radhananda Jagannath Murli that just see, Rupa Goswami's writing is just like garland of pearls strung together. That's how Rupa Goswami's writing was. So, when Rupa Goswami was writing Bhakti-Rasamrita Sindhu, especially when Vallabhacharya approached him, he was writing one verse. And very famous verse of Bhakti-Rasamrita Sindhu establishing the correct process of the performance of sadhana bhakti. And the verse he was writing was Bhakti Mukti Sprihaya Tishachi Vridi Vartate Bhakti Sukha Syatra Kathanabhyudayo Bhave. That as long as the two witches, in the form, the two intoxicated and wild demoniac witches in the form of two desires of sense enjoyment and of liberation continue to dance on the arena of the heart until that time. How can it be considered? That means until that time there is no possibility on the part of the sadhaka, there is no possibility on the part of the practitioner of sadhana bhakti that he can ever attain even the slightest faint realization of that transcendental bliss which is derived from the transcendental seva or service of the Lord or the most supreme of the land. Not even in the dream that person can realize the transcendental pleasure that is derived from such a seva, as long as these two desires of liberation and sense enjoyment are still existing, and the witches in the form of sense enjoyment and liberation are still continuing to haunt the heart of the sadhaka. Until that time there is no possibility. Bhukti Sprihaya Pishachi Vridi Vartate. Pishachi, the word Pishachi has been used, which means very wild, beastly witch. Pishachi Vridi Vartate Tavat Sukha Syatra Kathamabhyudayo Bhave. Or witch on the broomstick. Tavat Sukha Syatra Kathamabhyudayo Bhave. So if he was writing this verse, Vallabhacharya made some argument that it is not proper to write so openly and criticize the bhukti and the liberation so openly. Because after all, bhukti or liberation is considered, is appreciated by many other scriptures. Many Puranas, Upanishads, etc. And the Jnana Margis, their ultimate goal is bhukti. So we shouldn't be too much, negative about bhukti. So at that time, Jiva Goswami had argument with Vallabhacharya, and he made, Jiva Goswami was just mere man or boy at that time, adolescent boy, and he defeated Jagadguru Vallabhacharya, who was at the time Digvijay scholar of India. So, then Rupa Goswami became very angry. upon Jiva Goswami that if once I have relented, if once I have given up, I have submitted Madhvacharya, then why you in my disciple are poking the nose in the back and are trying to be more harder than me? So, I think it's very big that you have become Vairagi, you have become renunciant, you have accepted the dress of Paramahansa renunciant, the white loincloth on top of the knees. So, you have accepted this Paramahansa dress of the Goswami, but you have not yet conquered your anger. Actually, you should first become angry on your anger, and only then you are eligible to wear this Paramahansa Goswami dress. Because Goswami means one who has controlled all sixfold faults of human mundane mind, of conditioned mind, which are Kam, Krodha, Lobha, Matsar, lust, anger, greed, envy, malice, etc. So, but I think that Vacha Vegan Matsam Krodha Rupa Goswami said, I have written this first verse of the presentation on the Nectar of instruction, but I think you are still not eligible because you have still not become angry on your anger. And that is why you are not eligible to wear this Goswami dress. And from now on, I am just renouncing you. As my disciple, you are not my disciple anymore. So, just like this small service that Jiva Goswami actually performed to Rupa Goswami, due to his Guru Nishtha, due to his exclusive devotion to the goodness of the spiritual master, this result in return. So, then Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami said, I don't want to see your face again in my life. To his only nephew, he said like this. The only child among the three brothers, Ruth, Sanatana and Rupa. He was the only child, but he said like that. And he rejected his nephew and his disciple. So then Jiva Goswami thought, what is the use of keeping this life? So he went in a very special place, a very special spot of Brajmandal, north of Mathura, known as Chiltha. Which is on the back of Yamuna. And on that spot, he started this journey, and he would never even go to demand the Madhukari Vriksha, the so-called honey-bee collection of eatables and food items from the houses of Grihastha Brajvasis. So, only once a week, some Grihastha Brajvasi would come there and give him something, and he would sustain on that, and consequently he became very feeble and full of his stomach became full of particular type of abdominal disease due to that imbalance and irregularity in eating, etc. So what happens is Rupa Goswami complains. Now it has already been 2 years. It has already been 2 years that Jiva Goswami has been excluded and he has gone in exile. And Sanatana Goswami is sitting nearby Rupa Goswami. And one day, just like what happened to Vyasa in the very beginning of Bhagavatam, he was complaining to Narada. So the Guru, the spiritual master of Sanatana Goswami is the spiritual master of Rupa Goswami is Sanatana Goswami, because Sanatana Goswami has given initiation, the Diksha mantras to Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami is the initiating Guru who has given Diksha mantras to Jiva Goswami. So Rupa Goswami asks Sanatana Goswami, oh Sanatana Goswami, why is it that since last 2 years, I have already completed half of this Bhakti Rasamrita in just 3 months of time. But then I noticed that after that 3 months of time, the another half portion of Bhakti Rasamrita which I have already complete is not being completed, and 2 years have almost passed. If I can complete the half portion of this book in 3 months, then I can complete another half portion of this book in another 3 months, and it should have taken only total of 6 months of time. But why is it that 2 years have been taken and still I'm not seeing the end of this book in close future, in near future? So Sanatana Goswami immediately told Rupa Goswami, the only reason is Jiva Jivatama. Jiva Goswami is wrong. That's the only reason. So you can understand how big scholar Jiva Goswami was. Then there were many doubts prevailing and haunting the mind of Rupa and Sanatana both, and they were not able to solve those doubts while writing Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And in order to resolve those doubts, Jiva Goswami's guidance was needed. So, we can understand that. Okay, so this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it has been compiled by the guidance of Srila Jiva Goswami. Yes, we were describing the point that Jiva Goswami was the first commentator on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and his commentary is known as Durga Sanskrit. That is a Sanskrit commentary on every verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And then the second commentary is by the disciple of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the direct disciple of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, known as Srila Mukunda Das Goswami. Srimati Radharani was taken very much pleased upon Mukunda Das Goswami, and because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was a staunch follower of Raghunath Das Goswami. So Raghunath Das Goswami was, his headquarters was Radha Kund. And he performed the bhajan, the devotional service throughout his whole life, being situated on Radha Kund, on the banks of Radha Kund. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, being a staunch follower of Raghunath Das Goswami, also selected the same place for his bhajan, Radha Kund. And then Mukunda Das Goswami, staunch follower and disciple of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, a direct disciple of Krishnadas, he also chose the same spot for his bhajan and sadhana. So what happens? In that once upon a time, Krishnadas Kaviraj and Raghunath Das Goswami have all disappeared from the plane. All the 6 Goswamis, they have disappeared, and even Garuda, Shamanand and Srinivasa Acharya, they have also disappeared. So Mukundas Goswami is all alone. And he is wondering what's the use of keeping this life without having darshan of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna Conjugal and their associates like Lalita and Krishna. What's the use of keeping this life? Then he just end his life by fasting on the banks of Radha. So he started completely fasting. And for 2 months, he literally fasted. After 2 months' time, because of severe fasting, his eyesight, actually he was fasting and he was eating the mud of Radha, the mud of Radha instead, and he felt hungry. So by eating the mud of Radha, his eyesight went away. It became lost and disappeared. So what happened is Srimati Radharani, who is very much merciful and kind to her devotees, she appears on the scene and she puts her hand on the head of Srila Mukunda Das Goswami and says, "Oh Mukunda Das, please get up and envision my most beautiful form. And along with me, I have also brought my Pranam, my Priyakam, my most loved, dear one, the life and soul of my existence, Shri Nandanandan Shyam Sundar Krishna." So, have the vision of us two, the divine conjugal moiety. So then, Mukunda Das Goswami saying, "But I don't have the vision to see. My eyesight has gone. How do I see it?" So, Srimati Radhika, what she does is she anoints the eyes of Mukunda Das Goswami with the collyrium with which her eyes are anointed. So she takes the collyrium with which her eyes are anointed and she puts the transcendental collyrium next to the eyes of Srila Mukunda Das Goswami, and then Srila Mukunda Das Goswami again regains his lost vision. And not only he regains his lost material vision, but he also gains the special transcendental eyesight by which he is able to see Shri Radha and Shri Krishna present before his eyes. And then Srimati Radhika, actually in our Sampradaya, there are only 2 deities of Radha and Krishna, which have been directly given by Srimati Radhika to her devotees. By taking those deities from the very heart. The first is Shyamanand Goswami Prabhu. Srimati Radhika was released to Shyamanand Prabhu, and she gave the deity of Radha Shyam Sundar. She actually very manifest. She was very manifest the deities of Radha and Shyam Sundar from her heart, and then she gave it to Shyamanand Goswami to worship. And the second incident is Mukunda Das Goswami. Srimati Radhika, she gives the deity of Radha Nayananand, which is still present in Vrindavan. Radha Nayananand, she takes that deity out from her heart and personally Bhagavad she is Mukundas Goswami for worship. So, Mukundas Goswami is the second commentator on Srimati Rasamrita Sindhu. Unlike most of the other Goswamis, he was not from Bengal, but he was from the northwestern part of India, that is the Punjab province. You must have heard the name of one Ramdas Kapoor. He was a very great, healthy Punjabi merchant who actually built the Bhagavad temple for Sanatana Goswami. And Mukundas Goswami was the nephew of Ramdas Kapoor. So he had actually taken his birth in the Punjab province of India, which this birthplace now falls in the Pakistan. So this Mukundas Goswami, he wrote the second commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, known as Artha Deepika. And then comes the third and the last commentary on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written a commentary known as Krishna Bhakti Prakashana. I don't exactly recall the name right now, but it is similar to that. So, these three commentaries are found in Sanskrit language, and then at last, His Divine Grace, Srimati Bhakti Swami Srila has written a summary study of the whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, of the original Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and he has given the name of the summary study as the Nectar of Devotion. So, and then there are some other related books to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, like Srimati Sandaka of Srila Goswami, which is very in-depth, profound analysis on Bhakti Tattva, and Raghav Chandrika of Sri Krishna Chakravarti Thakur, which is a special book dedicated only for explaining particular part of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And then there is another book by Sri Krishna Chakravarti Thakur, known as Madhurika, which is also a special book written by Krishna Chakravarti, and it is dedicated for explaining only a particular part of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And then there is another book by Krishna Chakravarti Thakur, which is known as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. And that is a book which is the shortest summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu available up to the date. The shortest summary study. Because in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, or the drop of the nectar of the ocean of devotional levels, the drop of the nectar, Sindhu Bindu, Srila Krishna Chakravarti only quotes the main verses and statements of the original Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He only quotes those verses of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu which are considered the backbone into his new book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So that's the shortest form of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu available, known as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu. So again, what was the main topic? That Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's contribution and his beneficence is quite unparalleled and unprecedented. So Sri Chaitanya Kripa Mahamadhurya Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is completely enormously autocratic, and it is unprecedented. And what is the first form of his mercy? His mercy appears in 5 or 6 different forms. What is the first form? The first form is that the creepers of 9 types of devotional services, which are growing within the agricultural harvest farmland of the heart of the practitioner of devotional service, that is the devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Kripa, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's beneficence, or this cloud of his beneficence, pours down the sweet nectar of transcendental sweetness into the heart of that sadhaka bhakta, into the heart of that devotee, and that sweet shower of devotional nectar enables those 9 creepers of devotional practices to grow and to sustain. That is the first thing. Now, what is the actual purpose of this statement? That the shower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sweet mercy makes the 9 devotional creepers grow within the heart of a devotee. What is the actual import of this? Very in-depth import. By apparent or perception, one may not be able to comprehend or understand what is the actual import of this statement. Oh yes, my Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy will becomes fixed up firmly in the performance of the nine devotional practices. Okay, that's the import. No, that's not the import here. The import is something different, and that is what Srila Krishna Goswami clarifies in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Bhajane madhye Shri Navavitha Bhakti Krishna Prema Krishna Dite Dhare Mahashakti. That about the 9 limbs of devotional practices. Actually, devotional service is considered unlimited. Because in the internal potency of Shri Krishna, Amari Shakti, it is considered unlimited, Ananta. It has no limit, it has no boundary, so to say. And that is why Sri Rupa Goswami, when he talks about the 64 limbs of sadhana bhakti, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he cautions the reader. Before listing the 64 limbs, before enumerating the 64 limbs of devotional practice, he cautions the reader by saying that don't think that devotional service is only divided in 64 different parts, or that devotional service is only limited in 64 different parts. Actually, devotional service is ananta, it's unlimited. That's the word Rupa Goswami has used. And he says that my elder brother and spiritual master, Srila Sanatana Goswami Prabhupada, when he has compiled his treatise known as Hari Bhakti Vilas. So in Hari Bhakti Vilas, he has mentioned thousands and thousands of limbs of devotional service, which are, in one sense, innumerable to count. So Rupa Goswami says, if one wants to have full knowledge, if one wants to have total acquaintance with all the possible limits of devotional practices, then we should read the enumeration of devotional limbs given by Sanatana Goswami in his book Hari Bhakti Vilas. But I will only mention the 64 major limbs of devotion here in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That's what Rupa Goswami says. And then he starts by saying, Adav Guru Padashraya. Adav Guru Padashraya means the first limb of sadhana bhakti, from where sadhana bhakti starts. The very first limb of sadhana bhakti is taking the shelter of the lotus feet of bona fide authorized spiritual master. Then, Adav Padashraya Tasmat Diksha Shiksha Vigrahanam. Not only surrendering oneself to the lotus feet of spiritual master orally and physically, no. Not only prostrating oneself in front of the spiritual master, no. But formally establishing connection with the spiritual master legitimately, officially and formally. And legally establishing relationship both with the spiritual master, with Shri Krishna and with the whole Sampradaya by taking initiation Diksha. And then, after Diksha, also Shiksha, or the divine instructions issued from the mouth of the spiritual master. Guru ko padmavaki chitte te kariya arana. Yes. So, tabhati pranipate pariprashne sevaya lekshante jnana jnana tattvadarshana, that shloka Bhagavad Gita. Krishna also underlines, he highlights and he stresses the significance of taking the shelter of the lotus feet of spiritual master, Guru or Acharya. So that Rupa Goswami says, not only this, then Vishrat Guru Seva, not only standing with the spiritual master, not only taking Diksha and Shiksha from him, but then also serving the spiritual master in a very hesitating way, full of the mood of awe, reverence, and hesitation and fear? No. Vishra. That would mean Sambrahena Guru Seva. But he has used another word, completely opposite, Vishramdhena Guru Seva. Sambrahena would mean the mood of awe, reverence, fear and hesitation in serving the spiritual master. But no, very close relation, very close service to the spiritual master. Vishramdhena Guru Seva. That means that type of service to the spiritual master, it is completely devoid and bare of thought, it is completely without any tinge of so-called hesitation and fear which arises out of the mood of extreme reverence. the Shraddha Guru. So, but anyway, this is only possible for the male sadhakas or the male practitioners. The female disciples should not be too much intimate with the spiritual master, otherwise it will break havoc. Srila Rupa Goswami and all the other acharyas, whenever they have written the scriptures, and it has been the general tradition of writing the scriptures, and whenever the scriptures are written, they have been intended, actually they are intended for both the female and the male. But they are intended, they are intended for both, but while addressing, they have been addressed to the male sadhakas, or those living entities, or those devotees who are embodied within the male forms, male gurus, bodies. So they are really addressed to them, and that is why Srila Rupa Goswami, when he writes, he also naturally addresses the male sadhakas. And so for the male sadhakas, it is very easily possible to be very much intimate with their spiritual master and the sadhaka. But the female sadhakas should reciprocate with the spiritual master in their respective limits. So, then Rupa Goswami says that about the 64 limbs, the first 20 limbs are the most important. And he considers the first 20 limbs to be the entrance gate, to be the doorway, to be the gateway of entering into the real sadhana bhakti. So according to Srila Rupa Goswami, the real sadhana bhakti starts after the first 20 limbs having completed. Then devotee or sadhana becomes actually eligible to enter into real sadhana bhakti. So the last four devotional practices that have been listed by Srimad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnavam, Savaranam, Vinam, Charanam, Sankhamanam, Vivekanam, Iti Pumsar, Vishnavam, Bhaktishchan, Prakakshanam, Kriyatam, Bhagavatya, Bhavatam, Mangehi, Muttamam. These 94 devotional practices are forming the last part of the whole enumeration. Rupa Goswami has listed 64 limbs. So the last part of his enumeration, of his listing, the last part of the 64 limbs are these 94 limbs of devotional service, namely hearing, chanting, worshipping, etc. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, etc. But in order for sadhaka or the practitioner of devotional service to become eligible to actually rightfully perform these 94 devotional practices, one mandatory, compulsory, essential requirement has to be fulfilled by the sadhaka. And that essential requirement is that the sadhaka has to first follow the first 20 limbs of devotional service in the enumeration. The first 20 limbs. And Rupa Goswami very emphatically says that without following the first 20 limbs of devotional service, if someone tries to directly perform Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnavam, Smaranam, etc., he will either get bhakti or mukti, and there will be scope of committing aparadhas. So, in order to save sadhaka from the clutches of sense enjoyment, from the clutches of liberation, and from the clutches of possibility of committing offenses, the first 20 limbs have to be performed as a prerequisite condition and requirement. So, among the first 20, the first 10 are positive, and the next 10 are negative. What do we mean? What do we mean by negative and positive limbs? So, the first 10 positive limbs are do's, are regulatory limbs. And the next 10 limbs are not do's, or the prohibitory injunctions, within a niche, so to say. So among the first 10 do's, among the first 10 mandatory regulations, positive regulations, the first 3 are the most important. That's what Rupa Goswami says. Even among the first 10 mandatory or compulsory regulations, positive regulations, the first 3 are the most important. And which are the first 3? Taking the shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Then Tasma the Shashadi Brahmana takes the instructions and initiation from him and thereby becoming connected in a formal official way through the line of Diksha, and then Vishramani Guru Seva, intimate association, service unto the Guru. The first three among the 10 are the most important. And after performing the first 10 limbs, which are positive, then one has to extend from the 10 negative actions by following the 10 prohibiting injunctions, which are succeeding the first 10 regulatory injunctions. And after completely fulfilling the whole criteria of following the first 20 limbs of sadhana bhakti, then one actually becomes eligible to enter into the ninefold practices of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnam, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam, etc. So, now here, Srila Krishna Goswami is saying that actually in Narada Bhakti Sutra, now let us start from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, now let us start from Hari Bhakti Vilas. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, devotional limbs are considered innumerable, unlimited, and thousands of big and small devotional limbs have been listed by Srila Sanatana Goswami. But then Rupa Goswami summarizes the whole conversation of Hari Bhakti Vilas by clustering all of those thousands of limbs into the major 64 divisions, main 64 limbs of sadhana bhakti. But Srimad Bhakti Sutra, Narada Bhakti Sutra, Narada Mahamuni, by compiling Narada Bhakti Sutra, the very last 82nd, 83rd aphorisms of Narada Bhakti Sutra. Narada Bhakti Sutra only has 84 aphorisms or sutras. So the 82nd and 83rd sutras or the aphorisms of Narada Bhakti Sutra, that means the last aphorisms. Narada Mahamuni has described the devotional practices are of 12 types. So according to Narada Mahamuni, sadhana bhakti is of 12 types. Rupa Goswami mentions sadhana bhakti of 64 types. Narada Mahamuni mentions sadhana bhakti to be of 12 types in the later part, in the last part of Narada Bhakti Sutra. And then Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam mentions, he again makes the limits of sadhana bhakti more compact and condensed. And he transforms that sadhana bhakti of Narada Mahamuni into the sadhana bhakti having only 9 fold limbs known as Nanda Bhakti Nanda Bhakti. And then Nanda Bhakti is again summarized by Srila Rupa Goswami, the 9-fold limbs of Shravan, Kirtanam, etc. They are again summarized by Srila Rupa Goswami, Bhakti-Rasamrita to be 5 limbs. From 9, he makes them and merges into 5. And then the 5 limbs are again summarized into 3 limbs. And then the 3 limbs are summarized into 1 limb. And that last remaining 1 limb is Kirtanaka Bhakti. Kirtanaka Bhakti means the devotional limb of congregationally chanting the holy names of the Lord. So this is exactly what Krishna Goswami is talking about right here in Charitamrita, and by this we will be able to understand what special contribution has Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made of the 9 limbs of devotional services. What special contribution he has made. So Krishna also says, Bhajane Madhya Shrishya Navamitha Bhakti Krishna Prema Krishna Vite Dhare Mahashakti. That among the different thousands and thousands of different limbs of sadhana bhakti, the 9 limbs, as they have been mentioned by Prahlad Maharaj in Bhagavatam, are the most important. Bhajane Madhya Shrishya Navamitha Bhakti Krishna Prema Krishna Vite Dhare Mahashakti. And these 9 limbs of devotional practices are completely capable, are completely competent of allotting, of bestowing, of granting the greatest good and benediction of another love for the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, that is Krishna Prema. Onto the practitioner, onto the sadhaka, the 9 devotional practices are completely capable of granting the fruit of Krishna Prema, or the fruit of Prema Bhakti. Krishna Prema, Krishna Mahashakti. And not only that, the ninefold devotional practices give Krishna Prema to the sadhaka, but the ninefold devotional practices also give Shri Krishna to the sadhaka. Krishna Prema and Krishna both are given by the performance, by the accomplishment, by the execution of these ninefold devotional practices. That is the important. Krishna Prema, Krishna Vivek, Hare Mahashakti. And then in the next verse, Krishna Das says, Tavamathe sarvashreshtham nama sankirtanam niramarabhe nama lalle paya prema. That even among these nine devotional practices, the most important and the most significant living is the living of Krishna Nama Sankirtan, or the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And if one performs the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord without any offenses, without being influenced and afflicted by offenses, then he immediately or in a very near future he acquires this rather inobtainable and this rather rare benediction of Krishna Prema. So here Srila Jiva Goswami, he makes a very important note in his Bhakti Sattva. Srila Jiva Goswami, he makes very important note in his treatise known as Bhakti Sattva. And he says that Anyānitu Bhakti Angāni Kirtanākya Bhaktya Sānam Kartavyāni. Now, before describing the importance of this statement, let us go to another related topic. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he has described the nine devotional practices in Chaitanya Charitamrita, while giving instructions to Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis in Bhakti Lila, in Prayag and in Varanasi, at that time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made the nine devotional practices condensed into five. And what are the five devotional practices? Which are actually the last five devotional limbs among the 64. Even in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami puts these five as the last five. 59, 60, 61, 62, 63 and 64. 60, starting from 60th limb up to the 64th limb, these are the five last limbs which are considered most important by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the five limbs are the most important, even among the Bhakti, and what are those? First is Shri Murti, Sadhu Bhagavad Shravan, Madhura Rao. Nam Sankirtan are Shri Murti Shraddha Seva. Sadhu means associating with the devotees of Lord Shri Krishna, pure devotees, not Satkarmis, not Kukarmis. That means not vicious, sinful people, not associating with pious people, performing so-called pious deeds, who are virtuous, not and who are full of so-called material piety, not even associating with the Satkarmis and the Kukarmis or the Papis or the Punyatmas, not associating with either virtuous or vicious, not associating with the Jnanis, or those who are trying after merging into impersonal Brahman effulgence, Brahmasai, not associating with the Ashtanga Yoga Margis, or those yogis who are aspiring after merging into the Paramatma feature of the Lord, who are aspiring after getting 8 types of mystic perfections like Mahima, etc. Not associating with Nishkama Yogi, or that not associating with Sadam Karni, but also or devoted minded actor, but also not associating with Nishkama Karma Yogi, or that performer of the activities, mundane activities, who has no fulfilled desire in his mind. Non-protector, not even associating with a non-protector, but only associating with the devotees. And then Rupa Goswami becomes even more strict and says that if the devotees of Radharana Sadhana Bhakti, then associating with the devotee of Vaidhi may be considered favorable, but it will not be so much helpful. So for a devotee in the Radharana, only a Radharana devotee, his association will be very helpful. But within the devotee of Radharana, Rupa Goswami says, if you find such a devotee who is in the same rasa, who is in the same relationship with Shri Krishna as you are, then it is still better. Even in fact, if you find a devotee who is extremely favorable to you, that is even still better. And even within that, if you find such a devotee who is higher than you in sadhana, that is your spirit. So, this kind of sadhusam. That twice, the second gift is Bhagavad Shravan. Here we transcendental scriptures, Bhakti Shastras, those transcendental scriptures which are propounding devotional service and glories of Sri Krishna and his Leelas, like Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Chaitanya Gopal Chandu, etc. All these scriptures is for Krishna Leela. So, hearing of these scriptures and studying those scriptures and listening to those scriptures is the second limb. And then how to hear these scriptures, not to the mouth of a non-devotee, otherwise adverse effect. Avaishnavam putam harikathamritam shravanam praivakartavyam sarvachishtam japanaya. Just like a milk which is touched by the lips and by the venomous fangs of a serpent becomes completely poisonous. And that milk also in natural condition is considered a tonic for a human being. But that same tonic of humanity, that is milk, actually milk is considered the nectar of earth. Milk is considered the nectar of earth by the scriptures. Nectar of earth is milk. And the nectar of heaven is the nectar which came out from the churning of the milk ocean. That's a different nectar. The nectar of earth is considered to be milk. Agreed in the Shastra. So the nectar of earth, which is milk, also turns into poison if it is touched by the venomous fangs of a serpent. In the same way, the Harikatha, which is so potent that by the oral reception of Harikatha, it immediately binds Shri Krishna. It binds Shri Krishna with the rope of Prema Bhakti into the heart of the person who is listening that Harikatha. Shushrushu Vista Kshana. Right? As soon as one wants to hear Bhagavatam, Kritivini Shushrushu Vista Kshana, Krishna is immediately bound within his heart. So, and then Shraddha Bhakti Anukravishani Satam Prasattam Bhavirya Samvido Bhavanti Hirkarana Rasaya Namakataha Tajjoshana Lashva Bhavatavan Manish Buddha Bhakti Anukravishati. That shloka is spoken by Kapil Dev in the third canto of Bhagavatam. That by him, the Harikatha in the association of transcendental devotees, the sadhana first acquires Shraddha, then Rati or Bhav, and then Prem finally. So that Harikatha one should not hear from a non-devotee, a bhakta, that is Jnani, Varmi, Yogi, Sankarmi, Papi, etc. And next requirement is, Shri Rupa Swami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, how Bhagavad Shravan, or how the studying and hearing of the scriptures has to be performed, how this has to be performed in a rightful way. He sets an example. Srimad Bhagavatam Asam Sadam Sadhu Sangam Swato Srimad Bhagavatam Aswato. With those recipients of Bhagavad devotees, or those devotees of the Lord, especially of the Rama type, those devotees of the Lord who are fully immersed in the thoughts of the pastimes of Sri Krishna in Vrindavan, Braj-Lila who are very highly elevated devotees, and who are very much intensely absorbed in always remembering and recalling upon the transcendental sportive delicacies and pastimes of the Lord that He has performed in Sri Vrindavan. So, and who are very much expert in relishing those transcendental mellows, especially the mellows of conjugal love. That is what we mean by Vasika here. So in the company of love, Vasika Mahabharata of devotees, and those devotees should be higher than our platform. In the association of those devotees, if one hears the Srimad Bhagavatam, so next thing, the Dwarka Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srimad Bhagavatam Asadu Vasika so Dharya is being built, Sadhu Swato Vare. And then in Bhagavatam also Vyakya says, Nigamakana Odaikam Phalam Shukhamukha Amrita Gravasanam Vipalam Bhagavatam Rasamalaya Mubhana Vasika Bhudauta. That even after liberation, all Vasikas, all expert in relishing the transcendental devotional mellows, all Vasikas, even after getting liberation, continue to relish Srimad Bhagavatam. Because it is certainly higher than the liberated spirits. Even the liberated Atmaram, devotees like Shukdev Goswami, four Kumaras, Narad Muni, they are also very much eager and keen to hear the transcendental descriptions of Srimad Bhagavatam. right? Atmaramaschamayo, Nirgrantha Abhyutrame, so, that is how we perform the second of the five most important. That is Bhagavad Shravan and Bhakti Shastra Shravan and Bhakti Shastra Adhyayan. Studying on in-depth profound perusal of the devotional scriptures and their oral recitation and their hearing. Then oral recitation and oral reception, both. Then comes the third name, living among the items. And that is known as, we already described Sadhasan Bhagavad, and then comes Madhuravas. So Madhuravas doesn't only mean residing within the city of Mathura, within the parameters of the present day Mathura city. Mathura, this word Mathura is used just as an Upalakshana here. What is Upalakshana? Now question will arise in the minds of the audience. What is Upalakshana? Yes. Upalakshana is an indicative word. It indicates itself and it indicates many other things, likewise, of likewise nature. Upalakshana is such an indicative word, which indicates both itself and which indicates all the related items of likewise nature. So, when we say Mathuravas, it doesn't mean only living in Mathura. It means living in all the likewise transcendental sacred places where Shri Krishna and many of his other incarnations have appeared and have performed pastimes. All those Leela Sthalis, all those dhamas or Leela Sthalis, where Krishna has performed his transcendental divine Leela and pastimes, like Dwarka, Mathura, Vrindavan, Ayodhya, etc., Navadvip, Mayapur, etc., Jagannath Puri, etc., they are all considered to be Leela Sthalis. So by Mathura is just a Upalakshana here, indicating many other related likewise items. So by Mathura, we mean that one has to reside within those places where Krishna or his incarnations have performed their sweet pastimes. That is Mathura. Then, and the Mathura Vas or the Dhama Vas is performed not ordinarily. What is the proper method of doing Dhama Vas? Rupa Goswami says, if one wants to perform that type of Dhama Vas which can give rise to Prema Bhakti or which can give rise to Krishna Prem, then one has to consider, while being in that Dhama, one has to consider that the Dhama is completely Chinmay. It is completely transcendental. It is not what is appearing to the mundane, so-called unaided eyes. No. It is completely Chinmay. And even though I may be unable, even though I may be ineligible, even though I may be incompetent due to my precious nature and due to my destitute condition, but the reality can never be denied just because I am incompetent to measure the real scenario. The reality cannot be denied, and the reality is that this Vrindavan Dham, even though I am not able to see it, because I am getting out and one takes the volume of Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti below Charena, sometimes I will below Kayansi, Yokshama Sutta Vachantya Swarupa, Bhokutavadi Purushottamaham Bhagavati. So even though I may be not like that, but the reality is that even now, in my presence, in this very self-same Shri Vrindavan Dham, those transcendental, unrecognized, eternal pastimes of Shri Ram and the conjugal couple are going on. This type of Chinmay Bhav, this type of spiritual conception in reference to the Dharma has to be fostered in the mind. If one wants to perform real Dharma, and then he has to absolutely, completely make himself, he has to completely abstain from all types of offenses like Namaprad, offenses to the holy name, Dhamaprad, offenses to the holy Dham, Vaishnavaprad, offenses to the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, and the Sevaprad, offenses to any form of the Lord by worshipping in Archan Marg. So, if one and also abstaining from all types of sinful activities. So that type of dharma, that is the third limb. The fourth limb is Shri Shraddhaya Seva. Worshipping the deity form of the Lord, and we will not elaborate too much on this. One has to worship the deity form of the Lord. Okay, one biggest conception in the mind. When the devotee who wants to have prem, who wants to obtain prema bhakti as the goal of sadhana bhakti, if he is performing deity worship, taking deity worship to be part of sadhana bhakti, which will give to prema bhakti as a reward, then this deity worship should not be in the same way as the karma does, as the karmi does. How karmi does deity worship? Karma margi, or that means protector, the way he performs deity worship is he thinks that deity is actually different from the actual personality of God. Deity is just a mere representation or a mere representative of the actual personality of God. And that is idolatry. That is idolatry. If you think that deity is made up of stone, it is not conscious, it is just reflecting, or it is just giving some semblance to the original image of Shri Krishna. It is not Shri Krishna. It is not even conscious. It is something made of marble, wood, metal, etc. It is not completely conscious. It is completely inert, better dead, unconscious, ephemeral, temporal, etc. And it is just a mere representation of the original image of Shri Krishna. That's it. And second conception that the karma margi has is that, okay, it may be material, but after that I invoke Shri Krishna to come and reside in this deity, he comes and resides in this deity. But even at that time, after doing the Kala Pratishtha, when Shri Krishna resides within this deity form, the deity is different from Shri Krishna. How? Just like the body and soul relationship. The deity never becomes Shri Krishna. It just becomes subjuged by the power of Shri Krishna. And then, so all these two types of demonic conceptions, which are suitable and which are different to the karma margi, if they are fostered by the sadhaka bhakta who is performing sadhana bhakti and who is performing deity worship as part of sadhana bhakti, receive prema bhakti as the ultimate reward. If he also thinks like that, then he will not get prema bhakti by this type of deity worship. But rather, what type of conception should be there? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advocates the real conception in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Pratima Nani Tumi Sakshat Ajindra. You are not indeed, you are not Pratima doing Pratiniditva. You are not that idol or that statue or that image doing some type of representation, doing some type of semblance of the original image of the personality of God. Hey, no, you are not Pratima at all. You are not representing. You are directly the son of Maharaj Nanda and Yashoda Sakshat Ajindra. The mood. And if deity worship is performed in that mood, then it will give rise to prema bhakti. And when the last limb is Nana-Sankirtan or the congregation, I will just wind up in 2 minutes now. So the last limb is the congregation will chant on the holy names of the Lord. Nana-Sankirtan, Harinam-Sankirtan, Krishnanam-Sankirtan, Gaura-Sankirtan. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, after enumerating these limbs of sadhana, it is 5 most important limbs. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Sanatana Goswami, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, what's the ingredient cause of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions to Rupa and Sanatana. They form the core power. They form the fundamental basis of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Because in the very beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami says in invocation, Hriti Yasya Preranaya, Pravartito Ahumvarata Vodi, Bhakti Padakamalam Tasya, Shri Hare Chaitanya Devasya. I bow down, I adore, I venerate, I worship and I revere the transcendental lotus feet of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Lord Hari or Shri Krishna, upon whose inspiration, although I am the most destitute and a foolish rascal, completely incompetent to describe the nectar, the science of the nectar of devotion, but still I am engaged just by being ordered by my worshipful deity Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions to Rupa and Sanatana, those are during Prayar and during Varanasi. They form the core basis of the nectar of instruction Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told Rupa Goswami during giving his instructions in Prayar that these patterns of devotional service, even if they are performed offenselessly, in the slightest degree, in a slightest degree, not even in full amount, only in a slightest degree, even then they are able to bestow Krishna brain in a very short time. These 5 yugas of sadhana bhakti, even if they are performed in a very least amount, very minimal amount, even then they are able to bestow the very rarely obtainable Krishna brain in a very short time. If they are performed offenselessly, that's again the condition. But then, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again corrects his statement. He edits his statement and he says, no. Even if one of those limbs, not all the 5, even if one of these 5 limbs are performed offenselessly in a least minimal amount, then also that one limb will be able to bestow Krishna brain. The most important treasure, the Pancham Purusha, the 5th goal of human life. Now, by reading this statement of Chaitanya Charitamrita, one will think, okay, if I am performing deity worship, or if I am reading Srimad Bhagavatam, or if I am just associating with the Vaishnavas, or if I am just doing the Dhamavas, without offense, in a minimal amount, then I will get Krishna brain. But Jiva Goswami refutes the whole idea. And it's like this sometimes. He actually doesn't refute the idea, he makes it more edited and more clear. He makes the whole concept more clear and edited by adding a very important comment. He says, Anyāni bhaktiyāni kirtanākṣā bhaktya sākam kartavyāni iti gyeyam. He says, not only in Kaliyuga, in all the 4 yugas, all the other limbs of devotional practices, Anyāni bhaktiyāni, not only the other 4 among the 5, but all the other innumerable limbs of devotional practices, whatever they all have to be performed along with even the least amount of kirtan bhakti, that is the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And only then they will be able to bestow Krishna bhakti, otherwise as Lord. Shri Shri Dwarka Bhishti, Shri Shri Karnana Bhavelu Sandaki, Shri Shri Gauru Bharati. So, yes. So, we will continue tomorrow now. And any questions, if there are, we will take them privately. Okay, that was now the official time as I did. And tomorrow I think hopefully we will also continue up to 8:30 because that's the time for the last 2 days. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.